Imagine you're in your college football 25 rebuild for some random school that you only actually picked because you like the mascot. And after grinding away since this game came out in July, you find yourself in a tight recruiting battle for a 5-star prospect that could change the program. The downside is you are going against the blue bloods of college football. That prospect has to pick between Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, and you, the Ball State Cardinals. Now, sure, you probably have an awesome hard sell in action, but what do you do with the extra 25 hours that you could potentially give to that recruit? Do you give the 25 hours of the normal friends and family, or do you throw 5 hours of social media and the 20-hour soft sell, knowing fully that only 2 out of those 3 areas are actual areas that the recruit cares about? Now, I'm sure you ran into that situation before, and I think we have the answer now, but this question has been getting a lot of attention ever since EA did their big update in September, where they told us 2 key things about selling. First, they increased the penalty for choosing pitches that the recruit is not actually interested in. For that 2 green check situation, one might argue that since one of those is a big red X that the recruit doesn't care about, that update would have made that worse. But on the other hand, EA increased the reward for having higher grades on the pitches that they care about. So from that point of view, maybe we can actually overcome the penalty because our grades are so awesome on those 2 green check marks that it's worth it. But through this experiment, there's one key part that I actually think EA has been hiding from us, and I cannot wait to show it to you. But first, the experiment. If you've seen some of the other experiments we've done, you're more than familiar with the concept of turning our 13 letter grades into 13 numeric points. And for those of you new to the channel, first, this is the concept that we're going to care about a lot today. And second, welcome to one of the coolest communities of college football 25 fans. Now, in order to answer the question, should you soft sell with 2 green check marks or do the 25 hours of friends and family, here's what we did. We'll start with 2 near identical schools and 2 identical brand new head coaches, and then recruit the exact same recruits with the exact same hours until they made it to their top 5. And once there, either Arizona or Arizona State was going to be randomly selected to be the 25 hours of friends and family, and the other school would throw the 20-hour soft sell with 2 green check marks and 5 extra hours of regular recruiting actions to make it 25 versus 25. So what do we know? Well, the answer lies right here on this graph. Again, this might not be a new view for you, but it's worth highlighting some nuance for this specific experiment for everyone. So first, each point that you see right now is one recruit in this experiment. Like usual, this horizontal axis represents how many points you get if you were to add up all 3 letter grades of the pitch. So an A+, an A+, an A+, you add up 13 3 times and you get 39 points, which would break this graph. Now, vertically, the higher up the point is, the better the soft sell combo did compared to the normal 25 hours friends and family, which means this line right here is the single most important line of the entire video. Anything above this line means that the team did better that did the soft sell and the 5 hours of social media compared to the 25 hours of friends and family. Obviously, this was very rare. And this right here is the second most important line in the entire video. See, this is the trend line that fits all of our points the best. And when our trend line crosses the threshold of being worth it, that's how many points we know we need to have as far as letter grades go to justify doing the soft sell. Now, there are 2 key insights here that I want you to know. First, look at how many of these recruits fall below the threshold, so we know that the 25 hours of friends and family was way more effective than the actual soft sell. But the second thing is a question that you've probably had on your mind ever since I showed you this graph. Why in the world am I talking about adding up all 3 grades instead of just the 2 green check marks? Well, that leads us to the lie that EA has been saying for months that I no longer agree with after looking at the data. Now, I was under the impression that when you sell a recruit, the only grades that would matter would be the actual areas that the recruit actually was interested in. Because if you don't care about proximity to home, why does it matter if it's an A+ or a C+? Now, at this point, I'm actually starting to realize EA never explicitly said that, but that's just kind of how I internalized it. But either way, I no longer agree with that. Through this experiment, I learned that for soft sells in particular, whether or not it's a green check mark or a red X, all 3 of those grades are going to matter. And we know that from a simple change in one key sentence. In this experiment, when we knew the grades of the 2 green check marks, we were essentially like 19% of the way towards fully understanding and predicting whether or not the soft sell was going to be worth it. But when we knew the 2 green check marks and the red X grade, all of a sudden we are like 45% of the way towards fully understanding and predicting whether or not the soft sell is worth it. Knowing all 3 grades is over twice as effective effective as just knowing the 2 green checkmark grades. But okay, all the graphs and numbers are fun, but how do you actually implement this in your dynasty? Just like previous experiments, we have a threshold now to where you need to cross in order to actually feel confident doing a soft sell instead of just the regular friends and family. And based on that trend line, the bar is very high. At the very least, you should be at least towards 32 or 33 points when you convert all those letter grades into numbers and add them up, but really close to 35 points to feel confident. So to get to 33 points, that's like an A- average. And to get to 35 points, that's like close to an A average. Of the 35 recruits in this sample, only 1 actually fared better from the soft sell team than from the friends and family team, and he had incredible grades with an A-, an A+, and a B. So as far as how to actually implement this video in your own dynasty, here's how I would do it. For 99% of the cases, I just wouldn't soft sell. If I'm at 40 out of 65 hours because I had good enough grades on the hard sell to do that, I'm gonna spend the remaining 25 hours doing friends and family. If you wanna know whether or not you should hard sell or send a house, that's a different threshold with a different calculation on a different video. But assuming that the grades on the hard sell pitch were good enough to do that, I would rarely do a soft sell with 5 hours of social media now. Now these results were shocking to me, so I will be doing my best to replicate this one more time so we can be fully confident in it, but unless EA makes another title update that changes this logic, this is my strategy from here on out. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them, but if not, I will see you in the next experiment. Peace out.